Hello, my favorite mathematician, and welcome to 5.1, Area of Parallelograms. Our essential question today is, how can I find the area of a given parallelogram? You're going to need a writing utensil, probably a calculator, your math notes and notebook, a growth mindset, and a little bit of determination. By the end of our video today, you should be able to identify the base and the height of a given parallelogram and calculate the area of a parallelogram. So let's get started. We're going to start by refreshing our memory on something that we've learned in a previous year, and that is finding the area of a rectangle. So we have a rectangle here. It's supposed to be like a planet from space. Looks more like a slice of cheese to me, but I'm cool with that because I love cheese. Either way, our rectangle is 3 inches by 5 inches. Hopefully you are remembering right about now that the formula to find the area of a rectangle is length times width. So go ahead and write that down. In this case, if I'm going to do length times width, that means I'm doing 5 inches by 3 inches, or 5 inches times 3 inches. 5 times 3 is 15. Inches times inches, we write that as inches squared. Okay, so just heads up, and maybe something you want to add to your notes somewhere in a little free space, is that with area, 2 things you always need to remember. The units, in this case they're inches, and that the units are always squared, because again, you're doing inches times inches. The 15 is not squared because we just did 5 times 3, but inches times inches makes those units squared. So with area, units are always squared. And I know I keep saying it, but it's important. I want you to know that units, they're always squared. Let's try another one. So here our rectangle is 9 feet by 4 feet. Same formula, area equals length times width. Yes, I want you to write it down again. Yes, I want you to write it down every single time. It's going to help you, I promise. So, area equals length times width. In this case, that means area equals 4 feet times 9 feet. 4 times 9 is obviously 36. Feet times feet is feet squared. So the area of our rectangle is 36 feet squared. Okay, now that we've refreshed our memory on how to find the area of a rectangle, we're going to use that information to help us figure out how to find the area of a parallelogram. Because while they are very similar, there is a difference between a rectangle and a parallelogram. So let's go ahead and take a look at a parallelogram. Here we go. So, looking at this parallelogram, I want you to envision for a moment that we take a pair of scissors and we cut the parallelogram into 2 pieces right here. And then we take that piece on the left that we just cut off, this piece right here, and we just rearrange it and move it over here to the right. What shape would that make? Can you see it? Hopefully, you're envisioning something that looks like this. It makes a rectangle. Again, they're very similar shapes, but there's a little bit of a difference. So if you look at our parallelogram here, we have 3 measurements instead of just 2. So why? What's going on here? Well, the formula for rectangles are length times width. In this case, one of those measurements would be 4 inches. But that doesn't work because if you remember when we made this rectangle, we cut off that line that was 4 inches and moved it, and then we're not measuring that line anymore. And so the formula for a parallelogram is not length times width, but instead is base times height. So now the question is, well, I still have 3 measurements. how do I know which one is the base and which one is the height? How do I know which two to use? Well, I'm glad you asked. The base and the height form something called perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines, love that word, are lines that form a right angle. And so you can see right here, two lines that form a right angle or a 90-degree angle. The measurement of the two lines that form those perpendicular lines, just like it was in the rectangle we looked at a few minutes ago, 5 inches and 3 inches. So again, 5 times 3 is 15. Inches times inches is inches squared. The area of this parallelogram is 15 inches squared. Let's try another one. See how you do. All right, so same idea. We've got a parallelogram, 3 measurements. 1 of them I don't need. 2 of them I need. Which 2 form perpendicular lines or form a right angle? Well, you can see the right angle there. It's indicated with those dotted lines. So I'm going to use my formula, area equals base times height. I'm writing it down every time. And in this case, those 2 measurements that form perpendicular lines or a right angle are 12 feet and 7 feet. So 12 times 7 is 84. Feet times feet is feet squared. So the area of this parallelogram is 84 feet squared. Okay, you should have a couple of examples down on your notes. If not, you need to back up the video and write those down. I want you to now pause the video and I want you to try the rest of the practice problems on your own. There should be 4 of them. After you've done those 4, hit play and check your work. All right, so hopefully after you worked those 4 practice problems, you came up with these 4 answers. If not, I want you to take a minute and pause the video, go back, figure out maybe where your mistake is and make those corrections that you need to make. And don't forget while you're checking your answers that your units on all of your answers, in this case they're all meters, make sure those are all squared. And now you should be able to tell and answer how to find the area of a given parallelogram because you have made it to the end of today's lesson. Congratulations, my favorite mathematician. Go forth and be amazing.